Most men think they fear being alone. They're wrong. What they actually fear is silence, because silence has a strange way of revealing things. The distractions disappear. The noise fades. The messages stop. And suddenly, there's nowhere left to hide. That's why so many people keep themselves busy. Not because they're productive, because they're avoiding something. Themselves. And if you've ever felt uncomfortable sitting alone in a quiet room, this might be happening to you too. Most men are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of meeting themselves, their regrets, their insecurities, their failures, the questions they've spent years avoiding. And what happens when those things finally catch up to you? We'll come back to that in a moment. Because the answer changes everything. A man named Michael learned this lesson the hard way. At 46 years old, Michael looked successful from the outside. A good career, a family, friends he'd known for years, weekend plans, holiday gatherings, a busy life, the kind of life most men spend decades trying to build. But then life did what life often does. It started removing things. His marriage ended. At first, he told himself he'd be fine. Then his children moved away. The house became quieter. Then the calls from friends became less frequent. The invitations slowed down. The conversations became shorter. And one night, Michael found himself sitting alone in a small apartment. No television, no music, no plans, just silence, and he hated it. Every second felt unbearable. So he did what most people do. He reached for distractions, social media, news, videos, phone calls, anything to avoid being alone with his thoughts. Maybe you've done the same thing, huh? Maybe you've picked up your phone simply because the silence felt uncomfortable. Maybe you filled your schedule because being alone felt too heavy. Michael certainly did. For months, until something happened that completely changed how he saw his life. One evening, after a particularly difficult week, he decided to call the people he trusted most, the people he had helped for years, the people he'd shown up for, the people he believed would always be there. He called one friend, no answer, then another, no answer, then another, nothing. 5 calls, 5 people, nobody picked up. At first he felt angry, then disappointed, then something worse, invisible. That was the moment everything cracked. He had never wanted to admit the life he thought was built on connection was often built on dependency. And that realization hurt more than the divorce, more than the loneliness, more than the silence. But the most painful lesson was still waiting for him, because what Michael discovered next forced him to confront a truth most men spend their entire lives avoiding. And once he saw it, he could never unsee it. The truth was uncomfortable. Michael had spent years blaming loneliness, but loneliness wasn't the real problem. The real problem was what the loneliness exposed. For the first time in decades, there was no one left to distract him from himself. No relationship to hide behind. No social circle to lean on. No constant activity to keep him occupied. Just his own thoughts. And that's when he discovered something shocking. Most men are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of what they might discover when they are alone. Because solitude is a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They reveal the things you've been avoiding. The mistakes you never corrected. The fears you never confronted. The dreams you abandoned. The insecurities you learned to hide. And that's why silence feels so uncomfortable. Silence forces honesty. Most people can handle noise. Very few can handle truth. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. Maybe you've sat alone at night and felt an urge to reach for your phone, not because you had something important to do, but because you didn't want to sit with your own thoughts. This might be happening to you right now, and if it is, you're not alone. Human beings have become masters of distraction. We distract ourselves from boredom. We distract ourselves from pain. We distract ourselves from uncertainty. But most of all, we distract ourselves from ourselves. And that's where another problem begins, a problem far more dangerous than loneliness. Validation addiction. Most men don't realize how dependent they've become on other people's approval. They measure their worth through attention, through compliments, through messages, through likes, through acceptance. They don't ask, do I respect myself? They ask, do other people respect me? And those are very different questions, because approval is temporary. Self-respect is permanent. Approval can disappear overnight. Self-respect stays with you. Weak men chase approval. Strong men build self-respect. Remember that. Weak men chase approval. Strong men build self-respect. But here's where things become uncomfortable. Many men spend years believing they are building confidence, when they're actually building dependence. Dependence on attention. Dependence on validation. Dependence on being needed. And the moment those things disappear, so does their sense of identity. That's exactly what happened to Michael. For years, he believed he was confident, but when the marriage ended, when the phone stopped ringing, his confidence vanished too. Why? Because it was never confidence. It was borrowed validation, and borrowed validation always expires. Here's the shocking truth. The people who constantly need attention often feel the most empty when they're alone, because they've never built a relationship with themselves. They've only built relationships with distractions. That's the pattern nobody talks about. And once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. Look around. People fear being alone more than ever. Yet they've never been more connected. Thousands of followers, hundreds of contacts, endless notifications, and still, anxiety, loneliness, restlessness. Why? Because connection cannot replace self-connection. That is the lesson most people never learn, and this is where Marcus Aurelius becomes relevant. Imagine being the most powerful man in the world. An emperor, a ruler, a man with armies at his command. If anyone had access to attention, admiration, and validation, it was him. Yet Marcus Aurelius constantly returned to solitude. Not because he hated people, not because he rejected society, but because he understood something profound. The greatest battle is never outside. It's within. Every night, he wrote private reflections to himself, not for applause, not for recognition, not for approval, for clarity. Because he understood that a man who cannot govern himself cannot govern anything else. Most men spend their lives trying to conquer the world. Very few learn to conquer themselves. And that's why solitude becomes so powerful. Not because it removes your problems, because it reveals them. And once they're revealed, you can finally face them. Weeks passed. Then months. Michael stopped running from silence. He started walking alone, thinking alone, reading alone, reflecting alone. At first it felt uncomfortable, then it felt unfamiliar. Then something remarkable happened. It started feeling peaceful, not because his problems disappeared. He faced them, and every time he faced them, he became stronger. Character is built in private. Discipline is built in private. Confidence is built in private. The world sees results. It never sees the lonely battles that created them, and that's the payoff. The day you learn to be alone, you stop depending on the world to tell you who you are. You stop chasing validation. You stop measuring your worth through other people's opinions. You stop fearing silence, because silence is no longer your enemy. It becomes your teacher. Most men believe solitude is about being separated from people. They're wrong. Solitude is about being connected to yourself. That's the difference. And once a man discovers that difference, everything changes. One day, you'll stop checking who texted you. You'll stop wondering who approves of you. You'll stop chasing people who never valued you. You'll stop needing constant reassurance. And for the first time in your life, you'll feel free. Not because you're alone, but because you're finally complete. You'll realize that peace was never hiding inside another person. It was never hiding inside attention. It was never hiding inside validation. It was waiting inside you. Waiting for the moment you stopped running. Waiting for the moment you sat quietly with yourself. Waiting for the moment you discovered that being alone was never the punishment. It was the preparation, because the strongest man in the room is rarely the loudest. He's often the man who no longer needs the room at all. If this message resonated with you, Subscribe for more insights on human nature, self-mastery, and Stoic wisdom. And tell me in the comments, do you believe solitude is a form of loneliness or the ultimate form of power?